Hi, it's Hans at
happierman.com. Today's topic is prioritize your fun. I think I may have a video I did previously about focusing on your fun, but I think I wanted to expand on that idea a little bit more because, one, a lot of guys aren't very good at having fun. A lot of guys their life has devolved into not fun, just a grind. And you're over serious, and you haven't put any emphasis on your own fun, which means your own life. Now maybe you're concentrated on your life, you're trying to raise your career, you're trying to make more money, you're trying to pay off debts, you're trying to build your bank account, you're trying to make sure everyone around you is doing fine. Yeah, all of that's good, but where's the fun? Where's the fun in all of that, right? You're gonna wake up someday, then you're gonna look back and say, well, I really haven't done a darn thing that's fun. I really haven't done a darn thing I wanted to do. All I've done is work. All I've done is bend over backwards for these people around me. And they're having fun or trying to, but I'm not. Well, I think that's totally wrong. Because I did that. I did that when I was married. It was the fun I would have was pretty much non-existent, Occasionally, I knew my wife would resist this. Her idea was how to get me to work more, how to keep me at the job longer, how to work around the house more, how to work harder, how to spend more money on stuff I didn't really want that had nothing to do with fun. So, I left all that behind, but the attitude of that is still hard for me to overcome. Plus, growing up, the fun, that wasn't an emphasis either. Fun wasn't really an emphasis. It was school, it was work around the house, it was work around the farm, it was being concerned with other things like that, world events, local events, and kind of a serious. And I found that my life would get better dramatically the more I focused on fun. Like when I started going out, and I was a senior in high school, going out and drinking beer and getting wild and crazy and meeting girls and having fun with friends and getting, kind of that kind of a party lifestyle. Man, the more I did that, the happier I got. It was like a night and day. It was still dealing with the serious things, doing well in school, keeping up on whatever, moving forward with life, but focusing on, well, where are we going to meet Friday night? Who's having the party? Who's going to buy the beer? Can we go out that night? It's going to be 20 below. What are we going to do? When you focus on all that, man, your life just goes through the roof with fun. And in college, I tried to do that too, but got that serious, that overwhelmingly difficult engineering major made it hard to focus on the fun. The fun was usually happenstance. There was so much effort involved in trying to do well in school that the fun was kind of an afterthought until maybe my last year or so, where things were finally clicking into place and I had a little more emphasis on the fun. When I went to graduate school, again, that was even harder schooling. So there was even less emphasis on fun, although I did have considerable fun at that time, but not a lot. When I finally got working, though, at a normal 40-hour-a-week job where I started making enough money, I could start to emphasize the fun because I finally had the money. You need money if you want to prioritize your fun. You need to add money into it and spend money on fun things, whatever those fun things are that work for you. Excuse me a second, there's some construction here I gotta drive through. It's almost like you should have the bulk of your budget should be on fun. Now, of course, when I was married and had an expensive house and expensive wife and all of that, yeah, there was zero budget for fun, zero or less. So obviously, if you have zero money for fun, you're not gonna have. You got to have a lot of money for fun. That's how one of the main ways you prioritize. But you also have to plan. You got to do something about it. You can't just think it's going to happen, because the world is set up for men to have as little fun as possible by happenstance. It's usually based on spending boatloads of money, right? Going to ball games, golfing, fishing, hunting, skiing, bowling, leagues, clubs, committees, all these things. You got to put money in to try to have some fun around it. Well, there's really not much you can do about that, so just make enough money to do so. But you got to prioritize it. You got to raise the level of money that you need to spend in order to have the fun. I just got back from this trip. I spent, quite a little money on the trip, and it was a blast what I did. I had a great time, and I spent a good share of money, and I did, I was planning. I had a tentative plan when I started, and part of it, the fun was planning the next day's activities in the morning and the evening. But it was fun. When you're traveling, to me, that's one of the highlights of my life, is prioritizing myself and my adventures into my fun. I've elevated it. I've given it enormous meaning in my life. And because I've elevated it, because I give it meaning, it is meaningful. And I think you'll find that most people would consider travel of various kinds extremely meaningful, because you can condense a lot of good things into a shorter time frame, because you're not having all your days spent about work and normal things. All your time is spent doing fun things for yourself. That's why I love to travel, and other reasons, of course. But yeah, you got to prioritize it, meaning budget it, set aside money for it, use credit cards for it, do whatever for the money. And you got to have time. You want to have a employment situation that you can leave and not do what you do for a living for a long enough period of time that you can just focus on the travel or that exciting element of your life. You don't want to go on some kind of a trip and then spend the bulk of the time doing your normal job, right? Making phone calls, emailing, reading reports, or doing some element of your job. I didn't really think about my job at all that whole time. I just knew I had a great job to come back to. I was focused on the trip. Everything was the trip. Another tip for you to focus, to prioritize your fun, is all the normal distractions you have on a trip like that, don't get into. So let's say on my normal, I don't watch TV. I haven't watched TV in maybe 5 months. So I don't watch any of the news programs or any of the shows, but I did tend to look at the Twitter and the YouTube and read news articles in my spare time when I'm not working and not focusing on my life. And I didn't do any of that on my trip. I didn't look at Twitter once. I didn't look at YouTube once. Didn't read any news articles once. Everything was elevated to what I'm doing right now. And man, that was really refreshing. And trying to keep that kind of an emphasis going, even more so now that I'm back home. But it's difficult, right? Because the outside world is kind of engaging in the Twitter and the YouTube and the news and the politics and all of that is, it's hard to escape. But I did escape for that 10 days. So yeah, that's kind of a couple of the main tips, right? Prioritize your fun. You got to make it one of the most important things in your life. Like, it's got to be up there with doing things for your health, taking care of your bills so you're not foundering in stress over them. If you're taking care of people, they are going to have a high priority. But at some point, you want to de-emphasize your attention to other people to bring it back to you. Now, when your kids are small, most of your attention is going to go on to them. When your wife needs you to help her, that's going to be a lot of your attention. But you don't want this to be forever. Your kids will grow up. You want to, as soon as you can, as you are able, start transitioning away from this over parenting. If you have a high maintenance wife, a wife that demands just more than you can give her, and you have no fun, you gotta get rid of her. You have to divorce her. Get my book, Leave Your Wife and Become a Happier Man with a 3-step system. It'll save your life. If you have other people in your life that are just sucking the energy out of you, you have to find a way to get them out of your life. You got to minimize the energy and the time commitment with these other people. Other people will just vampire all the life right out of you, and you got nothing left for your own fun. So anyway, give those ideas some thought. All for now.